Good afternoon, everybody. Big Mike back here with you once again. Welcome back to Big Mike Talks, where today I'm going to cover the week that was in pro wrestling. So, this week it's going to not include Raw, because I was at a movie on Monday, which was pretty darn good. No Power yet. That's going to come back February 6th on the CW app. So if you're looking for it, that's where it's going to be at. So we're going to start off with AEW Dynamite. So we're going to start off Samoa Joe promo. Basically reiterating what he said a few weeks ago that, now there isn't just, walk up and ask. There is now a championship committee who will take your record into account and see if you deserve to get smashed by me. Which, cool. Then out comes Hook, of all people, which is interesting because he just challenged Samoa Joe for the world title last week. Came in the ring. They shake hands, pretty much saying, beat me last week. Then he draws Joe in close. But I'm not done with you. I'll see you somewhere down the line. Hook goes to leave. Joe seeks AEW security on Hook. Hook fights him off a little bit, but then leaves on his own accord. Samoa Joe then heads to the commentary table for our first matchup of the evening, as we get Penta El Zero Miedo to take on Hangman Adam Page. And as usual, these two absolutely killed it. Really good back and forth, including a counter to the Penta Driver, and eventually the Buckshot missed, and Hangman Page hit a big old couple regular clotheslines. Buckshot lariat for the victory for Hangman Page. I am beginning to suspect Hangman Page is one of those guys who can pretty much have a really good match with absolutely everybody. And they're rebuilding Adam Page really well since his championship loss to CM Punk. We'll talk about him in a couple of days. So, solid matchup. We then go backstage for an Orange Cassidy interview. And he's acknowledging Roderick Strong's challenge, saying, alright, I'll see you at Revolution. But that's like 6 weeks away. Yeah, it's a long time away. I think it's like the first week of March. So then he continues, until then, I'm going to keep defending my title. And whoever wants to step up can. And I actually just talked to Tony Khan. I told him to get my enemies, my friends, my frenemies, my friends, and put them in a match together on Collision. I'll take on the winner of that match. In which we'll talk about that one. That one was a banger. So, that was nice and fun. We then Orange Cassidy brings up, alright, Trenton's fighting Wardlow a little bit later on. I'm going to go watch him. And then the interviewer, Renee Paquette, pretty much says, Wardlow, he big. So, definitely trying to rebuild Wardlow as well. We'll get to Wardlow in a minute. Then we see the Young Bucks backstage. Apparently they're late to the party. Interview comes up, asks them, why the heck are you so late? Then they bring up their passport name. Call them by their passport names. That's a new one. I dig that. Then they bring up, alright, we're going to produce this next bunch of shows. And hey, we solved that catering problem. How'd you like that au jus sandwich? Interviewer walks off. Bucks continue walking. They run into Top Flight, and they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. Why are you guys so late? And then Top Flight reply, yeah, we've been here for a while. You're late. Alright. And then the Young Bucks reply, okay, let's calm down here. Next time you're late, it's going to be a fine. Move along. So, yeah, that was, I am really digging these, serious Young Bucks coming in, like, the corporate Bucks. Who would have thought we'd be seeing corporate Young Bucks? It's a bit silly, but I think it's working. Like, I can't wait till they include, like, Brandon Cutler and Michael Nakazawa in this. Because they'd fit right in as their stooges. Alright, next match up. We got Wardlow taking on Trent Beretta, Long Island Zone. This match started out with Wardlow just dominating. Trent Beretta did get some good stuff in, including a couple of chair shots in which happened when the ref was distracted with the Undisputed Kingdom and the Best Friends ringside. Eventually they do get thrown out. Trent goes for a pile driver that gets countered. Tries for a crossbody. Wardlow just catches him right out of the sky, right into a power slam, into a single power bomb for the victory. And yeah, usually Wardlow would do the powerbomb symphony after listening to the crowd. Now he's not doing that anymore. Now he's serious, heel, badass Wardlow again. In which, maybe Undisputed Kingdom is exactly what this guy needed. Post-match, attack continues on Trent Beretta. Best Friends make the save. And the Undisputed Kingdom call off Wardlow. So, yeah, this is going to be an interesting rebuild year for Wardlow. Definitely off to a really good start. Then we get a hype video for the complete Fever Dream match. It's Minoru Suzuki of New Japan Pro Wrestling taking on Adam Edge Copeland. And yeah, that's going to be our main event. I shall talk about that in a little bit. Then we get a on-stage sit-down interview with the women's champion Toni Storm and Deonna Purrazzo. And on the stage, you got right down the middle, Toni Storm's in black and white, Purrazzo's in living color. Purrazzo goes to speak first, then Toni Storm interrupts her, brings up the recent body shaming on the internet with Purrazzo as the victim, in which, Deonna, don't listen to them. You're beautiful. Anyway, then Toni Storm continues, that's ridiculous. There is way more to shame about you than just that. Dang. Okay. I'm going to say this. I like it when pro wrestling brings real stuff into it. And I'm kind of okay with this. Like, Toni Storm looked like she was going to show a little compassion. Then she turned it on its head. It's something I kind of miss from pro wrestling. Then Toni continues, you don't get to use our past to get a title shot. I've had many friends come in the business, with all of them less talented than me. While you are the most technical wrestler going today, you step in the ring, I'm going to twist your lips so tight, you're going to need an epidural. Yikes. Shots fired. Then we get to finally hear from Deonna Purrazzo, who again brought up their friendship with Toni Storm. Purrazzo pretty much says, I have no problem winning by breaking your arm. But I want the old Tony back. I want the workhorse Tony that I shared a dojo with back in Japan. She was one of the best wrestlers in the world, and she is the one I want to beat. Tony, you gotta find that version of yourself. While you might have everyone else here fooled, I'm not fooled. And then, interestingly, Purrazzo brings up their bond again, and she reveals a weird duck tattoo, I guess? And she says, if you look on your own leg, Tony, you've got that same marking. And it's revealed she does. So, that's a nice little detail. I like stuff like that. Acknowledging their friendship. Acknowledging their time in the dojo. And unlike what, Bully Ray has been saying, yo, where's the story? Tell me the story about these tattoos. We kind of know the story of these tattoos. They were friends in the New Japan dojo. They probably got those tattoos there when they were traveling together. And now they're back together. It's fine. I get it. Anyway, after that, Toni Storm takes off one of her, shoes, a chancla, throws it on Purrazzo. Purrazzo throws it right back. Toni Storm does it again with her other shoe. And then they just start brawling. And it's definitely interesting little brawl with Deonna Purrazzo in full color now, holding up the AEW Women's title. Here's what I'm going to say. I'm not 100% sure when this matchup is going to go down. Maybe it'll be at Revolution. I'm not sure. Especially now with the rankings back. So, yep. That was definitely an interesting segment. Maybe a bit silly, but it definitely shows their Toni Storm's and Purrazzo's connection in the past. Maybe it'll play out in story in the future. Then we get a really interesting Jon Moxley promo in the back, where he says, yeah, I've won a lot of matches, but I've had 0 victory parties because there's been no time for stuff like that. And that's what it takes to be elite. For some, this is just one big party. Well, the party's over. You step in the ring with me. I'm going to bring it to my opponents every single time. And, kind of a continuation of his promo from a few weeks ago. But, Jon Moxley is going to be on one. And I hope this does lead to another, maybe a title match, maybe not so much a title win, if that makes any sense. Anyway, then we go back to kind of the interview area, but no interviewer, with Taya Valkyrie with Johnny TV. They're finally back together as a couple, where Valkyrie calls out Purrazzo for a match for next week on Dynamite, and says she's going to kick Purrazzo to the back of the line. Purrazzo Valkyrie, I am like 90% sure they've had their matches in Impact, which I definitely enjoyed. So, let's see what we got here. And next up, we got our next match of the evening. It's Brother Nero, Jeff Hardy, taking on Swerve Strickland. And I'm going to say this. This was Jeff Hardy's best singles match in a while. He looked absolutely great out there. But end of the day, Swerve took advantage. Countered a twist of fate into a flatliner. Right into the Swerve stomp to pick up the victory. Then we roll backstage. to a Hangman Page interview. Before he could get anything out, Swerve Strickland interrupts. Hangman and Swerve start jawing a little bit, with Swerve saying, "Who was the last man to beat you, Hangman?" Hangman then retorts, "It's a new year, new me. I'm going to take you out, and then I'm going to get my title back." It's then announced by the interviewer that Tony Khan has made a couple matches official, as it's going to be dealer's choice, where Swerve picks Hangman's opponent, and Hangman picks Swerve's opponent for the next couple weeks. So, I like stuff like that. Gonna be interesting to see who they pick. And, yeah, that should be fun. Next up, a bit of an out-of-nowhere matchup, but I'm glad she's getting reps, as Thunder Rosa, making her Dynamite return, takes on Red Velvet. And bit of an extended squash match, but they both looked really, really good. Except for the end, where Thunder Rosa attempted a Tijuana bomb. Red Velvet kind of slipped out a little, but then Thunder Rosa readjusted, Tijuana bomb to pick up the victory. So, kind of a little nothing match, but hopefully we get something from Thunder Rosa in the near future, because, she's got a title she never lost. So, could make that into a story too. We then get an in-ring interview from Sting and Darby Allin, with Darby Allin bringing up, whenever I do interviews for podcasters or whatever, everyone is asking about Sting, the impact he's had in my career, and it's sad to see this man's career end. You got your time cut short. Then I remember hearing about Sting coming to AEW. We rode in the ring together, and I kept telling you, you still got it. And yeah, I told you to finish your career on your own terms. And with the rankings now back, that puts us in the number one contendership for the tag team titles.
I didn't get that.
Oh.
Could you try again? Media volume set to...
So, then Darby asks Sting, would you like to end your career as one half of the tag team champions? Sting grabs the mic, pretty much says, alright, I'm in. And then they embrace. Segment ends. Nice little setup for what I thought would be Revolution, but then we get a backstage promo from the champs, Ricky Starks and Big Bill, where they pretty much say, thank you for finally naming us as champs, and while we respect your challenge, we're going to accept it. However, it's not going to be at Revolution. It's going to be in 2 weeks, which, alright, interesting. And then eventually Ricky Starks turns it on. So, you're obviously not making it to Revolution. You're going to lay down so we can walk right over you. So, Starks and Big Bill versus Darby and Sting. Count me in. We then get a match for the AEW Trios titles as the Mogul Embassy, that's the former Ring of Honor six-man tag team champions, Bishop Khan, Tony Leona, and Brian Cage, take on the Acclaimed, that's Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, and Billy Gunn. And before the match even starts, Bullet Club Gold makes their entrance. Now, obviously, they're not in this match, but they are watching the back of the Acclaimed, which comes in handy when Prince Nana tries to get involved and gets a chair, goes to hit Billy Gunn with it. Then Jay White grabs the chair out of the hands of Prince Nana, and then the Guns powerbomb him through the announce table. Billy Gunn with the Fameasser. The Acclaimed with the 3D, which I thought that looked interesting. Anthony Bowens with the Arrival. Mic drop from Max Caster. And the Acclaimed pick up the win. I would have liked to see this match go a little longer, but it's good to see some cohesion in the Bang Bang Scissor Gang. And I can't believe I said that name. So, yeah, gonna be interesting to see where this goes moving forward. More than likely, Jay White and the Guns are using the Acclaimed to get close to the Trios titles. So, yeah. We then get our last vignette for Serena Deeb's return for Collision. Sorry, I won't be covering that. But now we move to our Dynamite main event. And it's the Fever Dream match I was telling you about. It was Minoru Suzuki taking on Adam Edge Copeland. And yeah, this was fascinating. Like, seeing these two veterans of the game who have never stepped in the ring with one another, because Edge has been mostly in WWE or, injured. So seeing this was just mind-blowing. Was it the best match ever? No, it definitely wasn't. Was it an entertaining bout that pretty much ran off of, we've never seen these guys wrestle before, so here it is. Pretty much. And Copeland wins with the kill switch, which, clear message to the TNT champ, who is watching on a monitor backstage, which is interesting. Copeland then gets a microphone, pretty much says, yeah, I've never been hit that hard in my life. Suzuki, respect. Copeland reaches out his hand. Minoru Suzuki just looks at him, rolls out of the ring, and walks off the ramp. Copeland continues, I would have been disappointed if he did shake my hand. And then this is for Christian Cage. I'm still coming for the TNT title. So, yeah, Copeland is definitely due a rematch, considering he was TNT champion for a couple of seconds. So, yeah, we'll see where this ends up. Maybe it goes down at Revolution. I'm not 100% sure. Alright, that was Dynamite. We now move right into TNA Impact Wrestling. And we start off with the most nostalgic theme song I've ever heard. Cross the Line. Ooh, I haven't heard that song for decades, man. It's been way too long. And we start off the night with one half of the tag team champions. That's Chris Bay of the ABC, taking on New Japan Pro Wrestling's own Kevin Knight. Now, if you've never seen a Kevin Knight match, don't blink, because he is very, very quick. These two had some great chemistry together. Worked out really, really well. Miss on a frog splash near the end. Elbow drop by Chris Bay right into the Art of Finesse to pick up the win. And as he and Ace Austin are celebrating, the grizzled young veterans attack them from behind, hit the grit your teeth, and say, you thought we were done with ya? We're coming for your tag team titles. The ABC versus the grizzled young veterans. Yes, please. 1-on-1. 2-on-2, technically, but we then get a vignette from Ash by Elegance, the former Dana Brooke. I am definitely going to be interested to see what she's got, because I remember her in WWE. She wasn't great, but I'm definitely interested to see what she brings to the table. We then get a backstage promo from Frankie Kazarian. He pretty much says, look, I'm going to decide when it's time to talk. I'm going to get in the ring next week and reveal why I attacked Eric Young. Rich Swann walks in which I haven't seen him in about a million years. Pretty much asks Kazarian, man, what's going on with you? You're taking your career... Kaz replies, I'm taking my career into my own hands. Starting today, I'm going to do me. And if you're getting in my way, I won't be afraid to run through you. Now, obviously, I decide when it's time to talk, and the time to talk is next week. Then AJ Francis, the former Top Dollar, comes in, pretty much saying, look, I know you're having a match on Explosion next week against Joe Hendry. I want to be in your corner to make sure he doesn't do anything shady. Then Rich Swann pretty much perks up. Oh, yeah, that's okay, man. I got this on my own. Then Francis retorts, pretty much saying, where did I meet you, Rich? Back of the plane. Yeah, well, I'm always in first class, and there's always a seat next to me. Think about it. Rich Swann heel turn. I gotta admit, I'd be down for that. Like, Rich Swann isn't really doing much of anything these days. So maybe teaming with AJ Francis, kind of being his hype man, I think that'd be a cool little tag team. Then we get Dirty Dango tagging with Oleg Bruzius. That is the former Vladimir Kozlov, if you remember him, as they take on two enhancement talents. I did not really catch their names. I do apologize. Oleg pretty much dominates both guys at the start of the match, with Dirty Dango getting down from the ring apron on the stage, on the ramp, sitting in a steel chair on the phone. So then Oleg with some F5s, some big kicks, just throwing around the opponents. Dango then finally gets up on the apron, still talking on the phone, tags in, grabs one of the other guys, and hits a reverse DDT to pick up the win for his team. I'm going to say this. I do kind of like this combination. You got, obviously, the big bruiser doing the work, and then, the boss man picking up the pieces. I think it works for this act, because I'm down to see more of these guys. We then get a Grizzled Young Veterans promo. They're backstage, pretty much reiterating, we're coming for the TNA tag titles. We don't wait in line. That tonight was a statement of intent. This brings in Santino Marella, who pretty much says, look, you guys got your shot at Hard to Kill, and this is what you pull. I should suspend you guys right now. Then in comes the ABC, who try to get in the Grizzled Young Veterans. And Santino's like, no. This match isn't going down tonight. This isn't the time or the place. And you guys aren't getting your opportunities right off. Now, in the coming weeks, we're going to have 2 out of 3 series matches with the winner at the end becoming the tag team champions, in which 3-match series with these teams, yes please. Then we get a backstage interview with the Motor City Machine Guns and Okada, which yeah, this blows my mind. With them pretty much saying, look, the system thinks they run TNA, the Motor City Machine Guns do. We're going to show the system what TNA is all about. With Okada chiming in, watch our main event. And so, man of few words, Okada. Gotta love him. Next up, for the Knockouts title, you got Jordynne Grace taking on Trinity in one of her last matches under the TNA banner. We'll go over that for the Royal Rumble. Spoiler alert. Yeah, this match was as good, if not better, than their Hard to Kill match. A lot of really good back and forth. Grace with a Juggernaut Jackhammer, which I don't remember the last time seeing her pull that one out, but only gets a 2 count. Trinity blocks the Juggernaut Driver and a Muscle Buster. Trinity then goes for a roll-up, only for a 2 count. Trinity goes for the Starstruck submission, but that gets blocked immediately into the roll-up. And your winner, still Knockouts champion, Jordynne Grace. And post-match, both parties have a post-match handshake. But then we get Jay Vidal and Savannah Evans in. They attack Grace and Trinity. Then Shaw comes out. It looks like she's a little on the fence about what she wants to do. Shaw and Vidal then set Trinity up. Shaw with the denouement to end the segment. So it looks like Shaw will eventually be cashing in her Knockouts title shot thanks to Ultimate X. Next up, we got a backstage promo from the System. That's Moose, Brian Myers, Eddie and Alicia Edwards. They pretty much saying Eddie's been we've been a standard bearer for TNA for a while. We're going to put an end to Okada. We're going to prove why the formula works. You need to trust the System. I love that tagline. It works so well. And I'm really digging the System group. It's going to be interesting. Next up, we got a Josh Alexander promo backstage. Pretty much saying, I've had a lot of good days lately. I've made invented the first TNA show with Ospreay. The company needed a world beater, and it got one in me. What's next for Josh Alexander? And before he can continue, Alan Angel's in, and he asks Josh Alexander to be on his talk show in the future, which is the Sound Check. So, interesting name for that. At first, Josh Alexander was like, nah, I'm really busy, man. I gotta focus on the future. Then Alan just kind of starts begging. Like, he's like, please, it would mean so much for me. Then Josh is like, kind of rolls his eyes and is like, okay, sure. Then Angels is like, I got a lot to set up. I'll see you next week. I think that's one of the things TNA is kind of missing, is like a sit-down talk show segment. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not the biggest fan of those, but when pro wrestling does it sparingly, I do think it adds to feuds and stuff. But you do it too much, like WWE used to do, then it gets really watered down. So, hopefully they treat this Alan Angels show with a little bit more respect and don't do it every week. Next up, we got our first match, our TNA debut match of Nick Nemeth as he takes on Zachary Wentz of the Rascals. And I'm going to say this, I've missed seeing Nick Nemeth / Dolph Ziggler on my screen. He is one of the most underrated talents on the planet. And he showed it in his first matchup back here. And he pretty much went 1-for-1 with Zachary Wentz. It was a great old match, with Wentz going for a couple times for the headlock driver, only to get broken up. Eventually, Nick Nemeth hits the Danger Zone, which is the new name for the Zigzag, to pick up the win. Post-match, Trey Miguel attacks Nick Nemeth from behind. Eventually, Nick gets back up, hits a Danger Zone on Trey. But then out comes Steve Maclin from behind. Goes to hit the KIA. That gets countered right into the Danger Zone. So it looks like Nick Nemeth is going to be feuding with Maclin and the Rascals for a little bit. Wonder who he's going to get for his crew. I guess we'll see in the near future. We then get a very odd Crazy Steve video package where he pretty much says, "Tommy, I always thought you were here to help me, but in the end you were holding me back. I'd hard to kill, I decimated you, which led me to the good. And now I'm going to use this title as an instrument to carve up TNA. I don't need to listen to anyone anymore." Then Rhino rolls up, kind of breaking up the, more technical, Crazy Steve promo. Pretty much saying, "You hurt my friend Tommy. Now I'm going to have to teach you a lesson whether you like it or not." Then Rhino pushes Crazy Steve into a bunch of recording equipment, and then Crazy Steve just smiles and laughs. So, looks like we're going to be getting something with Rhino and Crazy Steve. Maybe a Monsters Ball match or some sort of ECW rules match. Either way, I'm definitely for it. I'm going to say this. As much as I like the idea behind the digital media title, I think if there's not going to be any fan interaction with it, like you vote on the match or whatever, or you vote the opponent, I think TNA should make the digital media title the hardcore title. Kind of bringing that back a little bit. It's pretty much the hardcore title, just without the name of it. So I think that could be a something interesting for TNA to do. Next up, we got a return promo from Decay. That's Rosemary and Jessica Havoc, where they pretty much say, to get these tag titles back, we had to go back to our roots. That means entering the undead realm and bringing back these free spirits. From now on, we're going to be doing things our way, and our way leads to decay. 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 Oh, it's so good to have Decay back. I do kind of wish Black Taurus stuck around, but it looks like he's going to AEW / Ring of Honor for a bit. So, maybe we'll see some new members join in the near future. Next up, we got women's tag team action as Dani Luna teams up with Jody Threat to take on the former champs Killer Kelly and Masha Slamovich, aka MK Ultra. And yeah, this was a really, really good back and forth match. Dani Luna definitely showed why she belonged in TNA, but ultimately MK Ultra with the double pile driver to pick up the victory. And then post-match, MK Ultra finished the job on Threat and Luna with another double pile driver. And Vanilla Mo, we got our main event for TNA Impact as we got 6-man tag team action as the System, that's our World Heavyweight Champion Moose, Eddie Edwards, and Brian Myers, take on the Motor City Machine Guns, that's X Division Champion Chris Sabin, former World Champion Alex Shelley, and Kazuchika Okada. And then once that coin dropped from Okada's ring entrance, the entire TNA crowd went absolutely nuts. It was great to see. And this was really, really fun back and forth between all the teams. Eventually, Moose does tag in. He kind of dominates Shelley and Sabin for a little bit. Shelley then tags in Okada, get a little stare down for a minute. Then they just start beating the heck out of each other. Eventually, things break down. Everyone gets involved. Everyone hits a finish near the end. Eventually, we get back to Moose and Okada. Moose kind of starts dominating Okada for a little bit. But eventually, they tag in Shelley and Eddie Edwards. Shelley tries for the shell shock. That gets countered. Enziguri into a stunner by Chris Sabin. And then Shelley with the Tiger Driver. That gets countered. Into some super kicks. An atomic drop kick. That leads to a tag for Brian Myers. Looking for the roster cut. That gets countered into a drop kick. Into a Rainmaker and a shell shock. For your winners, Okada and the Motor City Machine Guns. But then, as the credits are rolling, we are not quite done, as we now are getting the TNA debut of Mustafa Ali. Yes, boy. Oh, that one's going to be so much fun. I can't wait till he crosses the line and comes to TNA. That's going to be so much fun. Alright, that was TNA Impact. We now move on to the final SmackDown before the Royal Rumble. And we start the show with Hispanic rapper Elson Garrison. I don't really know his name. And he introduces Randy Orton, who he comes out, he cuts a promo. Pretty much says, yeah, I'm here to talk about the Bloodline. They've had one hell of a run lately. And Roman has held the world title for 13,000 days. And no one can seem to stop him. Except maybe me. Which gets a nice little pop. And at the end of the night, the only number that will matter is 15. Because after I beat Roman Reigns at the Rumble, I'll be a 15-time world champion. And I'm going to accomplish that with the 3 most destructive letters in sports entertainment. RKO. Oh, that gets me every single time. This brings out AJ Styles, one of the other number 1 contenders. And then he asked Randy Orton, oh, it's more than obvious you're looking past me, like everyone else is. Well, join the club. Let me have... I asked Nick Aldis if I could have that match against Solo this week, but instead they gave the match tonight. Did you forget about me, Randy? I've been in WWE as long as you have, and you should know better. we've got plenty of history. And from what you did to me last week, you got another receipt. You got a receipt coming. I'm gonna step over you, Roman, and LA Knight. And as soon as he sell it, out comes LA Knight. Pretty much picks up a microphone. You're gonna step over me. Have fun with it. And my God, AJ, since you've been back, you've been doing nothing but complaining. Well, quit your crying. You really want to fight Solo tonight? Well, isn't that convenient? I'm the only one in the four-way who has a match tonight. Heyman is the one who chose me to have this match against Solo because he sees me as Roman's biggest threat to win the title. So tonight, I'm going to run through Solo. I'm going to walk out of the Rumble as world champion. Randy Orton goes to leave. Big old Pele to Randy Orton. And Orton and AJ start brawling up the ramp. So, nice little segment to start us out. And really give more of a motivation for the Fatal 4-Way for the Royal Rumble. Next up, we got Carlito representing the LWO taking on Santos Escobar representing the new Legado del Fantasma. And I'm going to say this match was a little tricky to call. It's clear that Carlito still kind of has a little catching up to do because he looked a little bit slow. Now, to say he was bad? No, he wasn't bad. He hit a beautiful spine buster, which looked really, really good. As Carlito was going for some sort of ricochet move, Angel Garza moves the ropes, and Carlito falls out of the ring. LWO and Legado del Fantasma then brawl for a little bit. Santos goes for a senton, goes for a pin. Zelina Vega's up on the apron, and she gets taken down by a pretty interesting face, as it's Elektra Lopez as she takes out Vega. Santos Escobar with the roll-up on Carlito, who is distracted, to pick up the victory. Now, Elektra Lopez was originally part of Legado del Fantasma in NXT when it was Santos, Cruz del Toro, and Joaquin Wilde. Now that Wilde and del Toro are still with the LWO, with Zelina Vega, we now got some even numbers, which, little gang warfare, I'm always in for. Let's see what these guys got. We then get AJ Styles. He's kind of walking around backstage. He's fuming. And he runs into Jimmy Uso. And with Jimmy saying, "Hey, AJ, come here. Everyone knows tonight where LA Knight's going to be at. Why don't you help us in the Bloodline take him out? It's going to be good for us with Rowan, and it's going to be for you, one less challenger. Think about it." He then runs off. The OC, that's Luke Gallows, Carl Anderson, and Mia Yim walk in, with Carl Anderson asking AJ, "What was all that about?" AJ replies, "None of your dang business." So, yeah, that's going to be interesting. We then get Nick Aldis in his office. He's kind of on his desk writing. He then gets up, and then in walks Ava Raine, who is the current NXT general manager, and she is also the daughter of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, so, yeah, a bit of a big name. Ava then asks Nick Aldis, Look, I'm obviously new to this GM thing. Do you have any tips for me? Then in walks Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. They're all in their gear. And in the office, you'll have the tumbler with the Royal Rumble numbers in them, which I always love. It's the little details. Lashley gives it a quick spin, reaches in, takes out a ball, opens it. That's his number in the Royal Rumble. Which, nice, simple, easy. Then in comes Legado del Fantasma. Bobby Lashley and Santos have a little bit of a stare down, with Lashley saying, "Look, I got some receipts for you. I'll cash them in another day." So then Santos looks a little taken aback for a minute, turns to the tumbler, reaches in, grabs a pod, opens it up, has his number. He does look at it, but neither show their number to the camera, which I'm totally fine by. We then get a pretty interesting Bayley vignette where she's going to the WWE Performance Center. She's working out a little bit, and she's talking about her current Rumble match, and while she's nervous, she's ready to be champion once again. Nice, easy, to the point. We then cut back to Nick Aldis' office. In walks R-Truth, the national treasure that he is. Looks to Aldis, he says, "Hey, Adam Pearce, look at you. You got all your hair back." He then reaches into the tumbler, grabs a number, cracks it open, gets his number. So, Royal Rumble's definitely going to be very interesting this year. Can't wait to talk about it. Next up, we got the women's tag team titles on the line as the Kabuki Warriors, that's Kairi Sane and Asuka, take on Katana Chance and Kaden Carter. And I'm going to say this. This was a beautiful showcase for all four women. It has definitely been a while since Kairi Sane has had a match. Asuka looks great. And even in loss, yes, spoiler alert, there is a chance and Carter did lose. They did hit the keg stand, which was awesome. But Kairi Sane broke it up with an insane elbow. Little later on, Sane goes for an insane elbow, but Chance gets her knees up and blocks it, which that looks rough. Asuka with a bit of a Sister Abigail-like move, in which, okay, maybe that's a reference to something. Carter and Chance go for their second finisher move, the After Party, which is, it reminds me of the Skull and Bones the Motor City Machine Guns used to do. But that gets blocked. Katana Chance gets slammed into the announce table. And then Asuka with the neck breaker. Sane with the insane elbow to pick up the win. And new women's tag team champions, the Kabuki Warriors. Then as the Warriors are leaving, the rest of Damage Control, that's Dakota Kai, Bayley, and Io Sky, come out to celebrate on the ramp, and then they get the fireworks, which absolutely deserve it, and we'll see where this story heads in the near future. We then see the Bloodline backstage. They're getting ready to go. He talks to Solo about how he said he would fix this problem, but it's fix can sometimes sound a lot like solve. Last week you solved the problem, but you didn't fix the problem. So tonight you fix the problem and don't be merciful. Solo's then like, okay. And then he walks off. Then Jimmy Uso rolls up to Paul Heyman, saying, "That was the smirk? Man, that's scary." Then Paul turns to Jimmy, pretty much says, "You know what's even scarier? When Roman Reigns went from the big dog to the tribal chief, he seized his opportunity, and he's become the best champion ever. But tomorrow night at the Royal Rumble, I've got an opportunity for you. You're going to enter the Royal Rumble. You're going to win the Rumble. You're going to be Seth at WrestleMania. You're going to bring the world title to the Bloodline. And you're going to finally prove who the tribal heir is at the Royal Rumble." So, a nice little hype for Jimmy Uso, which is definitely very interesting. We then get to see Bayley. She enters Adam Pearce, Nick Aldis's office. She's gloating a little bit, but then she sees Bianca Belair. She picks her number, and she says, "Bayley, we got some unfinished business at the Royal Rumble. May the best woman win." Bianca picks her number, opens it up, gets her number. Bayley does the same, and yeah, she doesn't look super happy about it. Next up, we got a Bobby Lashley Street Profits promo, reintroducing themselves to the crowd like we're goldfish, which they continue. "Tonight we didn't come to play. We're ready to bring the fight to the Final Testament. So why don't you guys come out here so we can whoop ya?" The Final Testament come out. Cross, AOP, and Ellering stay on the stage. But then Scarlett gets in the ring, goes face to face with Lashley, which, that's quite the mind games. And of course, Bobby Lashley points this out, tells the Testament to finally stop playing mind games. We're here for a face-to-face. You're out there on the ramp. This is no way to handle your business. Montez Ford chimes in. "I know what's wrong with them. They're scared." Paul Ellering interrupts. "There is no fear in Cross." Then Cross chimes in. He speaks the truth. All I see in you three is desperation. I understand that. It's felt like things haven't been going your way for a while now. It feels like you aren't in control. Well, guess what? You're not in control. And tonight, you were obviously here for a fight. Well, you're not going to get your fight here tonight. And technically, we are standing here face to face, but we're not fighting you tonight. Then Angelo Dawkins with the final line. "Oh, you're not fighting? But we are." And then Ford and Dawkins dive on AOP. Cross gets in the ring, and he and Lashley start brawling. AOP take out the Street Profits. Hold Bobby Lashley from behind. Cross with a cross hammer elbow to end that low brawl. And yeah, that's definitely interesting. Definitely interesting to see where this team is going to go. Hopefully it's somewhere interesting. We then cut back to Nick Aldis' office, and in walks Jimmy Uso, who has a little stare down with Nick Aldis. He goes up, rotates the drum, picks up the pod, opens it, opens the paper slowly, and he's like, oh, not a good number. Next match up, we got Austin Theory taking on Carmelo Hayes. This is a rematch from their match a couple weeks ago, in which a very scary thing happened, in which both men landed on their head after an attempted Spanish fly. I am super glad both are okay. And they had a decent little match. I felt like they were trying too hard not to do those high spots. But eventually they get down to it. Theory with a Taxa. I don't even know what to call his signature. It's kind of like a flatliner DDT combo. I don't even know what to call it. Theory goes for the A-Town down. That gets blocked. Hayes with the roll-up. Only gets a 2. Theory counters with the roll-up to pick up the victory. And then post-match, Waller and Theory attack Carmelo Hayes. And out comes Carmelo Hayes' longtime frenemy, Trick Williams, who makes the save. And then Hayes, post-save, goes for the fist bump with Trick Williams. Trick then looks at him and is like, "Oh, dude, I'm busy. I can't watch you all the time." So, that's going to be a little interesting. We then get a backstage interview with I don't even know this guy's name. The Hispanic rapper from earlier who introduced Randy Orton. He's pretty much saying, yeah, I've been having lots of fun hanging out with the roster and Randy Orton all day. Then in walks the Bloodline. Solo gets it in his face first. Rapper's kind of starting over his lines a little bit. Then Heyman with all due respect. Which, nice little line. Bloodline walk off. And then we roll right into our main event for SmackDown. As it's LA Knight. Yeah. Taking on Solo Sikoa. And this match was pretty darn good. Like, I feel like both are kind of each other's levels. It wasn't like a wrestling masterclass, but it was very entertaining. Including Knight catching a Samoan spike, which that was impressive. Which then leads to a DDT. They both end up outside. Solo throws Knight into the announce table. Then out comes the phenomenal AJ Styles with a phenomenal forearm to LA Knight, which causes the DQ. Then Styles continues attacking LA Knight. Jimmy comes out. He grabs a chair. Looks like he's about to hit AJ with it. AJ then kind of perks up. Looks at Jimmy. Jimmy puts down the chair. He's like, "You do you, man." AJ picks up the chair. Looks like he's about to pummel LA Knight with it. Swerve right into Jim Uso's face. And then he continues on Solo. This brings out Randy Orton, who gives AJ Styles a what for. Solo goes for a Uranagi. That gets blocked. Randy with a suplex into the announce table. Jimmy tries to run away, but Orton gets him back in the ring. Gets him into a DDT. AJ Styles whiffs on a phenomenal forearm. He gets the DDT and an RKO, seemingly to end the show. But who gets the last laugh? It's LA Knight with a BFT. A very chaotic episode of SmackDown, but I did feel like it did set up the Royal Rumble really, really well, in which I'll talk about the Rumble a little bit. As we finally make it to AEW Rampage, baby. And we start off with a very interesting matchup as it's Lee Moriarty of Shane Taylor Promotions taking on Jon Moxley. And at first, Jon Moxley was taking it to Lee Moriarty, but Moriarty definitely gets some stuff in, including a Border City stretch, in which Moxley gets to the ropes. Moxley tries for a paradigm shift. Lee Moriarty gets out of it. Moriarty trying for some more submissions, including some arm bars, but Moxley gets out of it. Eventually, Moxley gets the Bulldog choke in, but instead of tapping out, Lee Moriarty passes out. So Moxley gets the win, but Lee Moriarty definitely looks really good in defeat. Post-match, Shane Taylor comes in. It looks like he's initially just checking on Lee Moriarty, but then he attacks Jon Moxley. Lee Moriarty joins in, and that leaves Moxley laying. So it does look like Shane Taylor Promotions has one up on Jon Moxley. We'll see how he responds. We then go backstage with Anna Jay and Angelo Parker, with Anna Jay having a match later on in the evening. Before Anna Jay could get a word in, Parker says, "Look, I'm sorry. You've always had my full support, but tonight I can't be in your corner. It's obvious you had nothing, but tell me, did you have anything to do with Harley Cameron?" And then Anna Jay slaps Angelo Parker's taste out of his mouth. She gets the microphone, pretty much says, "Look, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of defending you. Tonight, I'm done." So it looks like Anna Jay striking out on her own, ready to fight by herself. And honestly, I'm kind of good with that, because the Jericho Appreciation Society without Jericho, it's just, I don't know, they don't really fit together super well. Anyway, next up, we got Konosuke Takeshita taking on the Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels. Starts off with Takeshita really beating down Daniels. Christopher Daniels finesses his way in, including a drop toe hold. Tries for the Angel's wings. That gets blocked by Takeshita, who hits a big old pile driver, and then hits the turbo knee to pick up the victory. Pretty simple victory for Takeshita. Then we get on the microphone Don Callis and the rest of his family, where Callis pretty much reveals, "Chris, you've taken so many years from me, but I've already taken from you, and yet you keep coming back. In the coming weeks, it's time to end this, and I got the perfect challenge for you. It's Takeshita." But then Fletcher grabs the microphone, pretty much says, "Look, Takeshita and Hobbs had their shot at Jericho. Where the heck is my shot gonna be?" Callis is like, "Alright, I like your gumption, kid. So next week, you're gonna take on Kyle Fletcher. Week after that, Jericho, you're gonna take on Takeshita. And after that, there will be nothing left of Chris Jericho." That feud needs to end. Like, there's really nothing more you can do with the Don Callis family against Jericho. It's time to finish that up and do something else with these guys. Next up, we got an interview with Top Flight and Action Andretti. Before they can get a word out, in comes Private Party, who pretty much says, "Look, whether we won dirty or not, win's a win. That's all that matters with the rankings." With Andretti pretty much saying, "Yeah, but you need the ropes to win. These guys here, they obviously need someone to keep an eye out for your shenanigans. That's why I'm going to be in their corner. Then Montez Ford. Mark Quinn pretty much says, look, next week will be a perfect place for this match. And after that, we can go right to Bourbon Street to celebrate. And then the private party walk off. Next match up, we got women's division action. And it's Ruby Soho taking on Anna Jay. Anna Jay wrestling in her hometown. That's great. This was a very, very entertaining matchup. Ruby Soho with her veteran instincts really kicking in. And Anna Jay, it is awesome to see how improved she's gotten since she started. She's going to be a champion one day. She has it. About middle of the match, Anna Jay goes for the Queen Slayer. That gets countered. Then Harley Cameron, who's ringside, trips Anna Jay up. Anna Jay then goes outside the ring and big old elbow strike to Harley. Then Saraya grabs Anna Jay. Looks like Jay and Harley are going to double team Anna Jay. The ref then sees this, throws out Saraya and Harley Cameron. Ruby Soho and Anna Jay with a couple of dueling covers. Ruby Soho with a Destination Unknown, but that only gets her a 2 count. Shh, hush. Ruby then tries for a No Future that gets countered. Hits a blockbuster from the top rope. Anna Jay with the Queen Slayer for the big submission victory. And honestly, that was a very entertaining matchup. And like I said, it's great to see Anna Jay improve so much. And I'm going to call it now. She's going to be a champion in AEW sooner rather than later. We then get an interview with Eddie Kingston, who pretty much calls Bryan Danielson a victory-hugging hippie. Calls their rivalry a no-respect rivalry. So, coming up, I want to face someone who deserves respect, and that man is Willie Mack. Eddie goes down his history with Willie Mack. He then finishes, I'm not afraid to fight people I respect. And so we're going to get Eddie Kingston versus Willie Mack. That's going to be a good one. And finally, we finish up on the freshly squeezed 4-way where the winner faces Orange Cassidy at Collision. Spoiler alert, Orange Cassidy wins. Not going to be covering Collision this week. So, our 4-way combatants. AAA Mega Champion El Hijo del Vikingo. The Butcher of the Butcher and the Blade Tag Team. Commander, the current AAA Cruiserweight Champion. And the Butcher's trio's partner, Kip Sabian, with the blade on the outside ready to go. And it all starts off in a really big brawl. They kind of double out as Vikingo and the Butcher fight, and Commander and Sabian get into it. Eventually, Sabian and the Butcher do team up for a little bit. Sabian tries for a quick pinfall on the Butcher, but he kicks out of it. They go back and forth for a little while. Then Kip Sabian on the outside gets hit by a destroyer by Commander, which that was super impressive. Vikingo trying for a Phoenix Splash, that gets blocked. Commander tries for a Rana, gets caught into a Liger bomb. Commander then hits Arana into a suplex, only getting a 2 count. And then Commander with it was Kip Sabian trying for a suplex. That gets countered right into a Hurricane Rana, into a pinfall for a victory for Commander. And during Commander's celebration, out comes Orange Cassidy, and he has a face-off with Commander. Ooh, I am so disappointed I missed that matchup. But, like I said, I was covering the Royal Rumble. So, that'll do it for this week in pro wrestling. I hope you all very much enjoyed yourselves. Coming up this week, it's going to be very interesting, because tomorrow I'm going to rewatch the Royal Rumble. I'm going to take notes, and then Wednesday I am going to cover it. So look out for that review. Also potentially coming are my live reactions to the show, which might take a little bit more time than I thought. So look out for all of those. And then I think I'm going to push back another video I had an idea for, and that's me predicting the WrestleMania card for this year. I think I'm going to push that back until next week. So, rest of this week is going to be actually very interesting. I'll cover Raw. I think we're still a little bit out for NWA Power. So that just leaves us with AEW Dynamite. Because on Friday, I'm going out. So, that's going to be very interesting. So, I'm just going to cover those two on Thursday. And I am going on a little bit of a sabbatical. So, I think I'm going to push back to the WrestleMania card to next week. So, I hope you guys understand. Hope you guys all enjoyed. And until next time, happy wrestling, everybody. Peace.